I am on a video shoot today with a client at this gorgeous home. I have the DJI Osmo Pocket 3 with me. I'm going to capture some footage of this home using this camera, and I'm also going to determine if I can get away with using this for client work. Typically, when I am out with a client shooting real estate, I am shooting on my Sony FX3 paired with my Sigma 16 to 35 millimeter f4. And when it comes to real estate, the f4 aperture on a lens works just fine. I really don't want things to have a blurry background. I want everything to be nice and in focus. And so I do use this lens. And plus, it's nice and lightweight on the FX3. And of course, I have my gimbal that I am using to do nice, smooth pans and tilts. So, all the things that I described, you can do with this camera, the Osmo Pocket 3. Now for today, I have this little additional lens. This is like their wide angle lens. So when I put this over the lens on this camera, it's going to give me a wider shot. And I definitely want to do that when I'm shooting real estate. And I'm going to shoot in two different modes today per se. I'm going to shoot in a normal color profile. I'm going to use all auto exposure. Homes are a little different because you're shooting indoor and outdoor. Lots of times you're shooting indoors with the outdoors behind you. So, you do have to do a lot of work to adjust for that exposure. But today, just for a test, I'm going to keep the exposure in auto. I'm going to shoot in both a normal color profile so that you can see what comes directly out of camera. And then I'm also going to shoot in log, and we'll take a look at that footage as well. So anyway, let's get started. You just saw the footage. I haven't seen it yet, but I have to say that shooting with this camera is so nice. It's not heavy. It's easy to move around. The gimbal motion is nice and smooth. As I mentioned before, I did put this wide angle lens on the front here, so I was able to capture this home and make it look very large, although it already is fairly large in size. And so the next step is to head back to the office and take a closer look at the footage. Here we are back in the office. Now you've had a chance to take a look at the footage and everything is labeled, but let's break things down a little further. We'll hop into Final Cut Pro right here, and I'm just going to show you exactly what I've done here in the edit. Now I'm showing you how to do this in Final Cut Pro, but if you're in Premiere or in DaVinci, then whatever steps you take to edit your video and color grade your video, you can do that as well. It's going to mostly look similar to what you're seeing right here. So as far as the normal setting, the DJI Osmo Pocket 3 does have an HDR setting. I just don't like that setting at all. It oversaturates everything. I just don't care for it. So that's why I didn't include samples here. But with this normal setting, this is what it looks like out of camera. You can probably do some color correction, color adjustments in this image. But what I like about it is that it is picking up both the inside of this home as well as the outside. So in this case, you can see that this is a beautiful home to not only enjoy indoor living, but also outdoor living. So if you are trying to showcase that in your video, then this normal footage is definitely doing that. And then of course, we're looking at log footage. This is D-Log. D-Log is the hardest log profile for me personally to work in, especially out of this camera. And I'm going to show you why here in a second. So here is the conversion LUT applied to the log footage. DJI does provide this. This is going to convert your footage from D-Log into Rec 709, which, just makes it a little easier to grade. I did add a little bit of a color grade to this. It's mostly just saturation. For me though, I don't enjoy grading this footage. I think it looks pretty similar to just the normal footage out of the camera. And depending on how much you're charging for your services, if you want to put the extra time and energy into doing this grade, then by all means do that. Just make sure that you are charging for that extra time, because it does take a little bit more time to finesse than I would say out of my Sony cameras, like my FX3 or my A7S III or even my Sony A6700. So just something to keep in mind. But let's move along here. So plenty of footage from inside the house. Let's look at the outdoor. I shot some footage out at the pool. So here we are looking at normal footage out of the camera. I haven't done anything. This is straight out of camera. Remember, I do have the exposure set to auto. So this is what that looks like. As far as the D-Log, that's what that looks like out of camera. And finally, here is the conversion LUT with color grade coming out here. Now, to me, this looks really nice. It looks much nicer, the conversion LUT with the color grade, when I'm outside in pretty much direct sunlight in the middle of the day. I think that looks really nice as, compared to indoors with the color grade. This is an all-white home. There really is not a lot of color to work with. Plus, you have light bouncing off of all these white walls. So this is a difficult grade to do. If you had some more color to work with, like this outdoor shot, then it definitely is a little easier. So all in all, when it comes to the Osmo Pocket 3 and whether or not you can use it for shooting real estate for clients, I don't know. I think it depends. Because of the sensor size on this camera, you really need a lot of light. This was a nice bright home, which is why I chose to take the Osmo Pocket 3. Otherwise, if it was a darker home, I probably wouldn't take it. It just doesn't do very well in low light situations. So in that case, I would not want to shoot with it. But if I have a nice bright setting, I could maybe be able to get away with using this for real estate footage. The outside footage was my favorite in this video. The regular color coming out of the camera looked nice, but also that color grade made it look really smooth and nice. So it's really up to you what you're charging your clients, really the type of quality that you're looking for. But at the end of the day, I think you could maybe get away with using this camera in this particular situation, because ultimately what you want to do is showcase the home. You want to showcase what it's like to live there, the openness, the brightness of it. And because the Osmo Pocket 3 gives that nice, smooth feeling as you're walking because it's on a gimbal, the colors are, I think, nice enough. And I think if you just use this footage and you didn't use a higher quality camera or higher quality footage alongside of it, I do think you could maybe get away with it. So it's really up to you. But camera size matters. So if I showed up and just had the Osmo Pocket 3 and depending on what I was charging that client and they looked at that camera, clients just like bigger cameras. They like fancier looking cameras, which is why a camera on a gimbal really helps justify your experience and the cost that you are charging that client. So always keep that in mind. But if you're, depending on what that situation is, if you're doing a free shoot or you're just wanting to shoot outdoors, nice bright light, the Osmo Pocket 3 could be a great choice. So let me know what you think in the comments below. And before you head out, be sure to subscribe and hit the thumbs up for me. That just helps support the channel. And thanks as always for tuning in. I'll see you again in next week's video.